All right, today we're grabbing our tools and popping the hood on one of the most complex and honestly fascinating engines in our society, the high conflict personality. We're going to deconstruct the actual blueprints for the kind of person who can achieve just unbelievable success, but also cause immense disruption.
And that's the real paradox here, isn't it? The very same internal wiring, the same personality traits that can launch someone to the absolute top of their game, whether it's in business or politics or sports, can be the exact same traits that just fuel destructive behavior in their relationships, their workplaces, and even across society as a whole. And look, let's be clear, the stakes here are incredibly high. As Bill Eddy points out, this isn't some niche topic we're talking about. This is a massive, widespread public health problem that affects millions of people, but it often operates just beneath the surface of what we all see. So that brings us to the core question of our analysis today. Are we really seeing more of these personality types out in the world? Or have we just gotten better at spotting them? Have we developed more precise tools to measure and identify what's going on? Let's take a look at the data. Okay, first things first. We're going to deconstruct the disorder itself. To really get how the whole machine works, we have to isolate its core components one by one. So the official diagnostic blueprint, the one you'll find in the manuals, is called antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD for short. And what it really boils down to is a consistent pattern of behavior, a fundamental, pervasive disregard for the rights, the feelings, and even the safety of other people.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this clears up something that a lot of people get mixed up. You hear the words sociopathy and psychopathy thrown around a lot. Well, sociopathy generally refers to that clinical diagnosis, ASPD, which is all about observable actions. It's about what a person does. Psychopathy, though, that's a deeper personality construct. It's less about the specific actions and more about who they fundamentally are, their core internal wiring.
So if we were going to lay out a parts list for this psychopathic construct, these would be the core components on the workbench. You've got a profound lack of empathy and remorse, a tendency towards being manipulative, grandiose, and really dominant. You see impulsive actions, often without any thought to safety. And then there's this thing researchers call fearless dominance, this almost unnerving self-assurance in high-pressure moments, often wrapped up in a superficial charm that can be incredibly convincing.
All right, so now that we've identified all the components, let's measure the scale. It's time to analyze the technical specifications. Just how common are these personality disorders, really? The numbers might surprise you. Just take a look at narcissistic personality disorder, which is a related condition. Back in 1994, the official estimates put its prevalence at less than 1%. But then, about a decade later, a massive standardized study by the National Institutes of Health found it to be 6.2%. I mean, that is a colossal jump, and it suggests our old measurement tools might have been seriously underestimating the scale of the problem. And that same huge NIH study gives us the number for ASPD itself. It found a prevalence of 3.7% in the US population. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but think about it. That's nearly 1 out of every 27 people. The data also shows a pretty significant gender gap, with the disorder being almost 3 times more common in males than in females. Okay, time for a high-pressure stress test. Let's take this whole personality engine into the sporting arena. It is the perfect laboratory to see how this thing operates under maximum load. And under that intense pressure, you really see the so-called maladaptive side of the blueprint just light up. Research shows that in athletes, these psychopathic traits are positively correlated with a whole laundry list of negative behaviors, a bigger acceptance of doping, more cheating, higher aggression, and even links to steroid use. This is that win-at-all-cost mentality in action. But this is where we hit the paradox of success. This is the moment where a trait that seems totally maladaptive, a bug in the system, can actually become a distinct advantage. So how do these bugs suddenly become features? Well, this slide illustrates the other side of the coin perfectly. That same fearless dominance that can lead to breaking the rules, it also correlates with higher mental toughness. That lack of anxiety allows for peak performance when the pressure is almost unbearable. And that hyper-competitiveness, when it's channeled correctly, becomes the relentless drive that separates the champions from everybody else. So you can see the pathway pretty clearly laid out. You start with those core traits, right? The fearless dominance, the low anxiety. Those traits then fuel the hyper-competitive, win-at-all-costs behaviors. And in the right context, like elite sports, the potential outcome isn't disorder, it's a gold medal.
This is the operating model for what researchers are now calling successful psychopathy.
And of course, this blueprint isn't just for the stadium, not by a long shot. As Dr. Matthew Edlund points out, this particular personality archetype, the immoral, charismatic, and narcissistic leader, is becoming more and more visible across all high-stakes arenas, from the boardroom to the world stage.
So there we have it. We've taken the machine apart piece by piece, we've examined each component, we've checked the specs, and we ran it through a high-performance stress test. We've seen how the exact same design can lead to either catastrophic failure or just unparalleled success. The machine is reassembled, which really leaves us with one final and I think critical question. In a society that relentlessly celebrates winning, that rewards dominance, and a whatever-it-takes attitude, how do we distinguish between the kind of ambition we admire and the pathology we diagnose? Where on the blueprint exactly do we draw that line?